I'm absolutely stunned by the accidental publication and subsequent swift removal of the Daily Beast's scathing review of James Gunn's Superman 2025. I can't believe how quickly it spiraled into one of the most damaging pre-release controversies in recent superhero cinema history. I read that Nick Schager's take went live a full 5 days ahead of the official July 8 embargo, branding the film as the terrible new Superman movie, and even calling it the final nail in the grave for the superhero genre. Before I could wrap my head around it, the review was pulled down, but not before screenshots blew up across social media, plunging Warner Brothers and DC Studios into a full-blown public relations nightmare that has all of us reeling. We're going to explore all of it and more in the video about the fate of Superman 2025. Let's begin. Schager's review begins with a damning assessment of both Superman and the superhero genre's current state. Just as the seemingly indestructible Man of Steel is fatally weakened by kryptonite, so too is the once unbeatable superhero genre gravely threatened by audience fatigue. The critic positions Gunn's film as symptomatic of a larger, broad malaise affecting superhero cinema. Perhaps the most widely circulated criticism from the review describes the film as resembling a Saturday morning cartoon come to overstuffed, helter-skelter life. This characterization directly attacks Gunn's tonal choices, suggesting the director has misjudged the appropriate approach for a Superman reboot. Schager elaborates that the film turns out to be as big a whiff, resulting in a would-be franchise restarter that fails to capture the gravity needed for the character. The review delivers particularly harsh criticism of David Corenswet's Superman characterization. Superman's hero is no brooding Snyderian Christ figure. Rather, he's a sweet and sincere do-gooder who uses the word dude, takes time out of fighting behemoths to save squirrels from harm, and believes that viewing everyone as beautiful is punk rock. This portrayal suggests Gunn has fundamentally misunderstood what audiences expect from the iconic character. Schager identifies significant pacing and structure issues. Superman doesn't establish its scenario so much as it situates viewers in a media res and then asks them to hold on for dear life as it whiplashes about from one out-of-this-world locale and incident to another. The critic argues that the film feels as if it's operating in a comic book sandbox devoid of any literal or figurative gravity. While acknowledging that the charming Corenswet looks the part, Schager notes that in the shadow of Christopher Reeve, whose son Will cameos, and Henry Cavill, he comes across as relatively slight, a situation exacerbated by the all-over-the-place nature of his saga. The review suggests that supporting performances, including Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane and Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor, are overwhelmed by the material's endless sound and fury. One of the review's most damaging criticisms draws parallel to the widely maligned Justice League films. Similar to Snyder and Joss Whedon's misshapen Justice League, Gunn's Spectacular overpopulates itself with heroes and villains it neither has the time nor the inclination to develop. Consequently, everyone and everything is two-dimensional. The review criticizes the film's reliance on CGI. The film is so awash in over-the-top CGI insanity that its slam-bang mayhem loses its punch. Additionally, Schager notes that even John Williams' classic theme from Richard Donner's 1979 Superman can't save the film, and it's incapable of lending the scattershot film the magic it needs. The breach occurred 5 days before the official review embargo was set to lift on July 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Industry insiders described Warner Brothers' PR department as being in total meltdown mode following the leak. The timing could not have been worse, as the film was projected for a $100 million opening weekend, and negative buzz threatened to dampen advance ticket sales. Director James Gunn has largely remained silent about the specific review, though he has previously addressed embargo violations and criticism of the DCU projects. The leak represents a significant challenge to his carefully orchestrated marketing campaign for the film. Multiple reports suggest that Superman has faced significant challenges during post-production following mixed reception at test screenings. Sources close to the production indicate that tensions are high at Warner Brothers, where CEO David Zaslav and DC Studios leads James Gunn and Peter Safran are scrutinizing every frame to avoid another franchise misfire. After poor test screening feedback, the film was substantially reworked. Roughly 25 to 30 minutes of earlier footage were cut, and the editor was quietly replaced mid-process, prompting significant structural changes. Executives also insisted on scaling back James Gunn's humor-heavy approach, leading to a marked reduction in comedic content, while a second composer was brought on board to reshape the musical score. Finally, scenes were shuffled and a handful of minor reshoots were undertaken to shore up lingering narrative issues. Industry reports suggest that Gunn's original version leaned heavier on humor, in the style of his Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad films. However, Warner Bros. Executives were not entirely sold on this approach for Superman, leading to a course correction that removed several comedic beats from the final cut. One test screening attendee noted unusual emphasis on Superman's dog, Krypto, describing the film as feeling almost jarring at times how much it feels like a Superman Krypto movie. This focus on the canine character apparently confused some viewers and detracted from the main narrative. With a reported production budget of $225 million, Superman needs to gross over $500 million worldwide to break even, and approximately $700 million to be considered a success. The leaked negative review threatens these projections, particularly as early tracking had already shown some softening from initial estimates. As the inaugural film of Gunn's DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, Superman carries enormous pressure to succeed. A poor performance could jeopardize the entire planned 8 to 10 year DCU slate, including upcoming projects like The Authority, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing. Shager's review taps into broader industry concerns about audience fatigue with superhero content. Recent box office disappointments, including The Flash, $55 million opening, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, $30.1 million opening, and Black Adam, $67 million opening, have raised questions about the viability of DC properties. While the Daily Beast review represents the most negative assessment to leak, other early reactions have been more measured. Some industry insiders describe the film as decent, and Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor standing out as a particular highlight. However, consistent reports suggest the film may not meet the high expectations set for Gunn's DCU launch. Early reactions compare Superman's tone to Captain America: The First Avenger and classic Mummy films, suggesting a more earnest, less cynical approach than recent superhero films. However, this tonal choice may not resonate with contemporary audiences, expecting more sophisticated storytelling. With the review embargo lifting on July 8th, Warner Bros. Will soon face a barrage of professional critical assessments. The studio's hope is that the broader critical consensus will be more favorable than the leaked Daily Beast review, potentially offsetting some of the damage. I feel like the financial stakes couldn't be higher. With a $225 million budget and the entire DCU's future hanging in the balance, I'm rooting for Gunn's Superman to overcome this harsh review and all the skepticism that's haunted DC for over a decade. When the film opens on July 11, 2025, we'll finally know if his more hopeful, earnest take on the Man of Steel can connect with audiences tired of cynical superhero fare, or if it really will be, as Shager warns, the final nail in superhero cinema's coffin. As we hold our breath, this could be the most consequential hero movie in years, not just for DC, but for the entire genre. What do you think we're in for? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more, and stay safe out there.